12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Tower clear.
What's up guys, Jake Weisler here from the Full-Time Filmmaker team, and what you just saw were a few ways that you can utilize a green screen. And don't worry, it's a lot easier than you think. Today we'll be going over our 6 easy steps on how to green screen. For those who don't know, green screening is used when you're wanting to replace the background or foreground of your subject with something else. In our sequence, we want to replace the outside environment with outer space, and we're able to do it by green screening. So let's dive into our 6 easy steps so that you can achieve similar results. Step number 1, and this should be obvious, is to get a green screen kit. Well, why green? Well, you need the screen color to be a different color than your subject. Technically, you can do green or blue. Both of these colors are said to be farthest from human skin tones, which is the priority. There are a couple things to look for when buying a green screen kit, and there are many different types of green screens. The main 3 would be a green screen backdrop, which is what we'll be using today, a green screen collapsible pop-up, and then a green cyc wall, which is obviously bigger, better, and used by big production companies. But for our needs, the green screen backdrop will do just fine. Or if you're just wanting to replace a TV screen or a computer screen, you can just pull up a green color off of Google and chroma key it that way. Chroma keying is just a fancy word for the post-production part of green screening, aka editing the green screen footage. When looking for a green screen, size matters. You want a green screen that will cover your subject and give you room to move around. We're using Westcott's green screen, which comes in at 9 by 20 feet. This ensures that we have plenty of room on each side of our subject, and it's long enough for us to get full body shots without any corners. As for hanging that screen, we're using 2 9-foot tall Manfrotto light stands and a 10-foot long crossbar that our green screen slips onto. And to remove the wrinkles, we use spring clamps to tighten the green screen. And if that doesn't work, some green screens might come super wrinkly, so we recommend ironing or steaming them before use. But the reason we love Westcott's green screen is because it doesn't wrinkle that much. If you're using a small subject, this collapsible green screen pop-up works great. You can mount them to a clamp or have some friends hold them steady while you get your shot. Once our green screen is all set up, it's time for step number 2, which is to light the green screen properly. You want your green screen to have even lighting from corner to corner, meaning that you don't want half your green screen to have a bright side and the other half a dark side. You want even lighting across the entire screen, no shadows and no wrinkles. You can easily achieve this with a 2-point lighting setup. We're using aperture 300Ds pointed at both ends of the green screen to remove any shadows. It might take a few tries, but you want to position the height and distance so that it removes all shadows and evens out the highlights. Now that your green screen is all lit up, it's time for step number 3, which is to plan out your shot list. What shots you're going to be using for the green screen? Is the green screen going to be used to replace the entire background or just partially? Is it a medium shot? Is it a tight shot? Is it a full body shot? Where is the replacement scene taking place? Indoor or outdoor? When planning out our intro sequence, I knew that for 90% of the shots we'd be using the green screen to partially replace our background, and knowing which shot is for which is a must when doing step number 4. Step number 4 is placing and lighting your subject. The first tip here is to place the subject as far from the green screen as possible to reduce the amount of spill on your subject and shadows that the subject might cast on the green screen. Spill is when the green screen puts green ambient colors onto your subject, which makes it much harder to chroma key in post. The farther your subject is, the less spill you'll see. and less shadows. The more shadows your subject casts on the green screen, the more uneven your chroma key will be because now you're trying to key out multiple shades of green as opposed to just one. Once they've been placed, going back to step 3, I'll review my shot list before doing step 4. The lighting on my subject needs to match the lighting of the environment. If you light them for an indoor shot and place them outdoors, it'll be very obvious that it's a green screen and your end result will look amateur because they don't match. When lighting your subject, you're going to want to use a 3-point lighting setup. First, your key light, placed 20 to 30 degrees to the side of your subject. Second, your hair light, and probably one of the most important lights because the hair light will help separate your subject even more from the green screen and make it much easier to edit in post. And third, your fill light to light up the dark side of your subject's face. You can use a third light here or just have a reflector bounce the light back onto their shadows. So now that your green screen is set up, lit properly, your shot list has been planned, your subject placed and lit properly per shot, it's time to record. For the best and clearest results, you're going to want the least amount of video compression. You want the edges of your subject to stay sharp and separated from your green screen. So you're going to want a camera that can record a 4:2 luminance to color ratio. Now we're filming on the 1DX Mark III, which can do 10-bit at 4:2, but not all cameras can. But as long as your camera has an HDMI port and allows for external recording, you can use an external recorder to record 4:2 and achieve these results. And you don't need a camera that can record at 4:2, we're just saying it helps. And as for the actual shooting of your scene, using a tripod is the best and easiest option. Tripod shots will allow for a clean and easy chroma key with no additional variables. You can use a slider or a stabilizer to create movement, which we use for this shot here, but that requires some masking and motion tracking, so it's definitely doable, but it just requires more steps. Once your footage is shot, it's time to move on to our 6th and final step, which is chroma keying in post. We'll be using Premiere Pro, but Final Cut Pro X and Adobe After Effects and a number of other softwares can all do this very well. So inside of Premiere, it's a fairly simple process and just comes down to you refining your parameters to work with the footage you captured. First, you'll put the replacement image on the bottom layer and your green screen footage above it. Why? Because when you remove the green, you're essentially creating a window to see what's below it. In the Premiere Pro Effects tab, search for Ultra key and then drag and drop it onto your green screen clip. Next, you're going to grab the selection tool and basically tell Premiere which color you want to chroma key. Click anywhere in your green screen and you'll see that it does a pretty great job at removing the entire green screen. But there are a few imperfections and we'll fix those next. First, we'll go into our matte generation tab, which affects the keying directly. When I'm adjusting the matte generation tab, I like to switch my view from composite to alpha channel. This lets me see how much of my green screen needs to be fixed along with my subject. You'll see that if I move the transparency slider too far, that while it removes the green screen completely, my subject also starts to fall apart. So first we'll move it to a place where it's good enough and we'll come back to it once we adjust the other parameters. We'll adjust the highlights and the shadows as needs be to remove any imperfections, and as you can see, that alone makes a huge difference. Moving on to tolerance, which basically only affects the edges and helps define where the keying starts and stops. Pedestal will add or remove obstructions in your edges, so fine tune both of these until you get a good result, and then always check back in composite view to make sure that it looks good. And don't be alarmed if it's not perfect yet. We still have a few more tabs to get through, and this isn't a once and you're done process. You'll be constantly adjusting each of these tabs as you edit others. Matte cleanup is referring solely to the edges of your subject, aka it's cleaning up where your subject stops and where the chroma key begins. The choke will tighten up your edges and start to destruct your subject just a little, so be careful with it. It is great to remove any small green outlines or things of that nature. However, it does leave you with almost an unnatural hard edge, so the next parameter, the soften tool, will help soften those edges. Contrast and midpoint I don't use a whole lot, but I always slide them up and down to see if I like the effect they bring. Midpoint will usually help grab anything that hasn't been caught already. Now, spill suppression is when the green screen reflects some green light onto your set or subject, and you can use this to just clean up the image a little bit better. You can desaturate and tint the spill whichever direction you want till it matches the rest of your scene. And boom, you're pretty much done. All that's left is to color correct your subject and background into one even color scheme so that they blend together perfectly, and that is how you chroma key your green screen footage. Now, for shots like this where the green screen is in the background, sometimes it needs a final step of additional artifacts or bokeh, like how the focus is set to my main subject here, but the backdrop is also in focus. So I want to add a Gaussian blur and soften up a little bit so that it appears to be way in the background and out of focus. Essentially, with every shot, you're looking for ways to merge the green screen footage with your subject, and sometimes that might mean adjusting the aperture or the color of your scene. But there you go. Those are our 6 easy steps for how to green screen and chroma key in Premiere Pro. To recap, recap, first, get a green screen kit. Second, light the green screen properly. Third, pre-plan your shot list. Fourth, place and light your subject. Fifth, record your shot. And sixth, chroma key in post. But that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit that like and subscribe button so you can be notified when we come out with new tutorials. Also, this is just one of over 400 videos that we offer inside of our online school, Full-Time Filmmaker, which is the ultimate place to learn everything you need to know about filmmaking. We talk about equipment, how to edit, how to color grade, how to film commercials and weddings and music videos, you name it, we have a tutorial about it. We have over 13,000 students from all over the world who, like you, are wanting to learn the ins and outs of this business. So if you're interested in being a part of our incredible online community, click the link below and join today. We also have created a free 1-hour training where you can learn our top 10 secrets for achieving cinematic shots, along with a quick preview of what our course is all about. One attendee said he learned more in that 1 hour than he did in an entire semester at film school. Anyways, we'd love to have you. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any further questions, please let us know.